we're live now. So afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm just going to give it a few minutes and wait for a few people to go on. Until I get, full some eyes on me, I'm not going to go into full introductions as yet, but welcome everyone. It's Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday lunchtime, which means we are live on Beyond the Buy Box. So we're live on YouTube, Antal, and we're also live on Facebook as well. So first port of call, can everyone see and hear us? Okay, if you can, drop us a comment in the box. Just let us know that we are live. So Rosie says, hello, beautiful. I assume she's talking to you, Antal. So good to see everyone. Yeah, we've definitely got live. I can't seem to get into the comments for some reason. Oh, there we go. It was me. So hi, Mark. Hi, Joe. Good afternoon. Can someone just do the usuals and confirm that you can see and hear us? Yes, there we are. That's good. That's the first part. So welcome, everyone. And most importantly, welcome to Antal, who has joined us today, who are going to be discussing a variety of different subjects, but mainly around account health, deactivation, and staying safe in the eyes of Amazon. So welcome, Antal. Thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Natalie, for the invitation. I'm very, very glad to be here in your live. If you let me introduce myself a little bit, because maybe not many people know me. So just a few words, because before I became an Amazon seller, I had a company with subsidiaries in other countries as well. So I have about 20 years of experience in company management. This exited a few years ago, and I showed for new challenges afterwards, and I started selling on Amazon a few years ago. And I joined the FBA Rockets team about a year ago. They have a very good and detailed Amazon course for Hungarians in the Hungarian language. I joined the team to provide mentorship and consultations for their students mainly. FBA Rockets has a closed professional group where more than 200 sellers share their experiences. We have recently started delving into account reactivations and other Amazon account related issues. In the FBA Rockets team, there are 3 of us primarily, all of whom are Amazon sellers. The others have been selling on Amazon for much longer than me. You must know that. In addition, as I mentioned, the FBA Rockets trained and educated hundreds of sellers, and we provide ongoing mentoring and consulting to them, giving us a current and comprehensive understanding in various issues. So far, we have managed to solve all the problems that have arisen, but it must be accepted that on Amazon Marketplace, Amazon sets the rules and Amazon has the final word.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that introduction, Antal. Really, really great for you to be here and hear a little bit about your background and what we're going to be talking today. I think what's really interesting is, from what I understand about FBA Rockets, it's quite, probably quite similar to what we do in something like the Hive, obviously for the Hungarian market. So it's
exactly.
And like I said, inviting Antal on was very much a case of, wanting to find out a little bit more about not only yourself as a seller, why you started selling on Amazon. People love those type of stories as well, but also how you ended up in this, world of dealing with deactivations and working, because you do come highly rated. People really recommend, and you're someone, by your own admission, you like to help, you like to get involved, and probably a bit similar to some of us here as well, that I don't know if you're the same, but I just don't like not knowing stuff. So even if you're not going to get paid, even if you know that it's free information, you like to know how stuff is done and how to fix stuff. I know that's certainly a big motivator for me, why we do a lot of our research and everything that we do.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I recognize the similarities between us and between you. And about, I'm helping people on the Amazon seller groups because I read this from Ahmed, I think, and I have to mention this: sharing is caring. And really, I like to share the knowledge with the people. And of course, there is a point always when a case is very, very complicated, and we need to spend hours on that, and we need to spend hours and days, and we need teamwork. Then this is another story. I say, I want to help you, but like this I can, because really we must dig into your case, look your papers, your documents. But generally, yes, I like to help the people to be properly selling on Amazon. And this is not good only for them. This is good for the whole Amazon sellers community, because if you have competitors who know how works the Amazon, how to sell properly, then you can work better together with them on this marketplace.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And this is 100% why networking is so important. And that's what I wanted to highlight. Like I said, we run very similar services, but I do not touch deactivations, reactivations, appeals, suspensions, account health. I tend to stay clear of that. To be perfectly honest, I leave that to the experts. But it's so important to be able to build relationships between different service owners, community owners, because a lot of the time, we can work together to be able to solve problems, to be able to find common denominators. We're going through something at the moment, which I briefly discussed with you about, obviously the bundle deactivations, which if anyone's watching because of that, I will come on and talk about that, a bit later anyway. But it's good to be able to work together to find out information, because quite frankly, anybody that works one on their own and thinks they know everything about selling on Amazon is probably telling a few little white lies, because it's impossible. It's impossible for one person to know everything. So it's very important to be able to build relationships with people, to not use information, use people for information, but to trade information with each other that we can pass out, obviously, to the communities. Like yourself, Antal, we very much work on the base of 80% of everything we do is free. Free information, free videos, things like that as well. But obviously there does, if you're going to do this as part of an income stream, there does have to come a point where you do have to charge for it. We don't live on air, unfortunately. So it does get to that point. So always be respectful of people's times, guys. So this is what I always say. Understand that people will help you for free, but don't be offended if you are taking up a lot of time from someone if they ask to get paid. It's as simple as that. So, that's the way it is, because you're paying for that time, but you're paying for that experience and knowledge as well. So we'll come on and talk in a bit more detail. I just want to say hi. We got Scott, we got Noreen, everyone's saying hi. We got Enga, Assad. Good to see you both together. Lovely to see you too. We'll start diving into some more stuff. We got Pat, Kellyanne, lots of people jumping on to say hi, which is good. So welcome everyone if you've just joined us. By the way, if you've got any questions regarding deactivations, account health, any type of those kind of specialist questions that you would normally ask me, and I say, sorry, I don't know the answer to, now's the opportunity to ask. So make sure you pop them in the comments, and we will do our best to answer that as we go along. So we've got a few people that have joined us on YouTube as well. So we've got Xavier. Welcome. Good to see you guys there. So pop any questions in the comments as we go along. So just before we sort of dive into all of that, Antal, what obviously I don't want to assume, but you're based in Hungary, or you're based in the UK?
No, I'm based in Hungary. The FBA Rockets team is from Hungary. Some of us live outside of Hungary, but mainly we are Hungarians, and I'm based in Hungary as well. Currently, I'm staying in Zamardi. This is a small city on the coast of the Lake Balaton. Maybe some people heard about that, because this is a famous holiday place in Hungary.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm staying here. We have 1 hour ahead of you.
Hmm. Yeah, not too
That's
bad.
all. Yeah, yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. So when you first, I mean, you said that you'd been previously for 20 years working in subsidiaries, and that was a business that came to an end. So you've worked for yourself for a really long period of time, business management and things like that. So when did
Yeah.
you start selling on Amazon, and why did you start selling on Amazon?
Uh, it's a little bit long story. I start to be short. So my previous business was about agricultural commodity training. We bought grains and oily seeds and some kind of this stuff from farmers, and we sold to multinational companies. We exported from Hungary. But after 20 years, I exited,
Hmm.
and I always wanted to start some other a complete other thing in the e-commerce field. And this Amazon selling thing came in front of me many years ago, and I learned it. I opened my company, and I opened my seller account. I start to make connections with distributors, wholesaler brands, and so on. And I'm selling on Amazon. I don't know the exact date, more than 2 years, around 2.5 years ago.
Hmm.
So I'm not a very old seller, but I gained experience very quickly, very fast, and I have very good experience to manage the companies and make
Hmm.
relations with distributors, other companies, even with the biggest ones. So I use this ability what I learned from my past company.
And do you find with your own actual selling on Amazon, is it mainly through the relationships that you develop new suppliers, or is it through retail? Is it wholesale? What's your main model of selling that you focus on?
I focus on the wholesale
Mhm.
selling, but I have some business developing currently on this. Now, with the FBA rockets, we started to take mainly Hungarian products to the US Amazon. These are
Mhm.
not private label products, these are original products, some Hungarian brands and so on. And
Yeah.
we working on this too, but mainly we're doing wholesale, and
Yeah.
we help on others to to take their products on Amazon. Many Hungarian companies, brands likes to wants to join to the Amazon marketplace, not only in the US but in the European markets as well, mainly Germany,
Mhm.
France, Spanish, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a wide variety of services that, you can certainly
Exactly.
bring not only through your own selling, but, like I've always said, there's a massive opportunity for people to be able to approach other brands, to be able to go to those brands and sort of say, look, we've noticed that you are not selling on Amazon, or you're already selling on Amazon if you weren't aware. How can we work with you to increase your sales? So there's lots
Yeah,
of different
exactly.
types of opportunity. So for all of you guys out of there that think it's just about retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, there's lots of different models. Lots of people have lots of fingers in different pies, for sure. So don't always be restricted to thinking you can do things just the one way. So you sell across different marketplaces, predominantly in the US, and that's how I first came to hear of you, Antal, because we were we were brothers in arms at a time together on Amazon around Q3 last year, which unfortunately we were caught up at the same time, and it was actually through Ahmed's group that I was actually introduced to you under unfortunate circumstances, but needless to say, it's all been resolved now. I first became aware of you because we both had a Section 3 at the
Section
same
3.
time. Yeah, in the US. And we were in the first wave of the Section 3, which unfortunately
Exactly.
we got hit the hardest, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
From that point of view. So, but I do always think that sometimes, whilst I'm not going to go into the woo woo and the guru side of things, I do sometimes think not that they pick us deliberately, but sometimes it's better that it does happen, you know, to people that have that little bit more business experience, that do have the ability to be able to navigate through these type of things. Because like us, when we started selling on Amazon, we did not come in as new business owners. We'd been business owners for a very long time before that. So we bought an extra bunch of skills, which I'm not going to lie, absolutely helps with doing the, you know, with running these type of businesses. But as I said, you know, through a unfortunate situation, we were able to connect, start talking, and you became somebody that was being tagged in, you were helping a lot of people. And I certainly remember from my own experience, it was very helpful when you're going through it yourself, to be able to connect with other sellers that were going through it, but then also to be able to, once you were out the other side of it, feel like you want to continue to help sellers, because it helps your experience, that if it was to happen to you again in the future, then we've got as much information as possible. Does that make sense?
Yes, you are right. This is one part, you know, to make the connections, make the networking with other sellers, and even mainly with them facing the same situations, we can share the informations, and all of us, we can get a better view about what's happening. We can share some experience, what they asking from you, how they accept your papers, and this helps a lot. And not only this, but that too, you can talk with people that happening the same, you know, their feelings, and you can support each other in other way as well. So yeah, this is very valuable to network with people and join this kind of groups, and be cooperative with others as well.
So we're seeing something quite similar now. Going back to that section 3, obviously we've both come through at the other end, and you know, I'm very grateful for that. We've come out of it. It doesn't mean it won't happen again, by the way, as well. You know, doesn't mean just because you get one section 3, it doesn't mean that you will never get it again. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work like that.
The Hive is a group of online sellers. We specialize in Amazon. We're a network, we're a community, and we're all about bringing success to everybody through expert content and resources that you just can't get anywhere else.
The Hive has SOPs, documentation, short videos, clips, long form videos, over the shoulder videos. It has everything you need.
Both for beginners and advanced sellers.
I mean, I probably thought that I knew quite a lot about the selling on Amazon in general, but then when I joined the Hive, it was almost like I only knew 10%.
We keep everything so up to date knowledge, up-to-date strategies.
Natalie, Matt and Johnny will just explain how it works in normal English.
The best part of being in the Hive is a community.
Any question you have, you can put it in the Hive.
And you can get just problem solved so fast.
You can ask a question, there's an answer there within 5 minutes.
We are confident that you are receiving the best level of content out of any training and resource group in the world.
So what I would like to know, were you looking at deactivation, and were you looking at appeals before impacted by the section 3, or is it something that triggered you into becoming and wanting to be a little bit more of a specialist in that area?
This was triggering. My section 3 and my deactivation, my review was a very strong one. Almost I need 3 months to reactivate my own account, but I was completely sure I can do that because from the beginning I did everything right. So what I mean, I set up my legal entity perfectly. I set up my bank accounts perfectly. I opened my Seller Central account in a good way. And I searched products from really, really good big distributors. And I was 100% sure I'm selling authentic products, and I was 100% sure everything is right. But even in that case, Amazon, for the first they not accepted the invoices from one of the biggest American distributor. This was an electronic distributor, and they were looking exactly for a big brand authorization letter and so on. They was asking from me. They was not accepted the invoices, and I was digging into this problem. How can this happen? And I had to, and I realized I have to demonstrate for them I selling that products legally. I source that products from a legal wholesale channel. I sourced authentic products. I had to show for them from where coming the products, who sold to me, where I store the products, how we prep, how we send to the FBA, and so on. Finally, they accepted everything, and fun fact, after 1 day they reactivated me. That big brand gave me a letter of authorization. So the next day.
It's always the way.
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah, it's like this. And and I recognized after this deeply strict checking on my account, Amazon immediately enrolled me to the account health assurance, and that changed the games. Actually, I had another review just 2 weeks ago, but this time they were and this happening, and you was right when you told you go to section 3. That don't means never will happen again. Yeah, it's happening, and in my experience, this happening at least 1 time in a year with everybody. This is my experience, but maybe 2 or 3 times. Amazon constantly started to check the sellers. Do they selling authentic products? Do they have the proper invoices and so on? Amazon is very customer centric. They ensuring the customer get the best products on the best prices, and this is very important. And Amazon check every seller from this view. So not we are the important for them. For them, the most important is the customer, and we must accept that if we're selling on this platform. So back to my reactivation story. After they reactivated my account, and now I get another review. That was much more easy. They even not deactivated me. They not withheld my funds. I was able to sell and everything. I just get the letter from them. I have to cooperate. I booked a video interview. We went through on some basic things, and the next day I received another email. Everything is fine, and I successfully completed the account review. So the first time, Amazon always check everybody very, very serious and very deeply. But if you can demonstrate to them you are a legit seller, you selling legally sourced products, you fulfill all the policies, you comply with the policies, then you are in a good position. By the way, I see many people make some mistake, even they don't know they made some mistake, even from the beginning. Yeah. Do you want to hear a little bit about this?
Yes, please, because that's definitely going to be one of the things that I want to ask is about, your experience of what could people do to avoid? What are the common mistakes that you see?
Yeah, big mistake is always start from the beginning. Some people set up an LTD or an LLC, but with wrong data. They don't have their own data. They don't have proper documentation. They don't have proper company papers. And they open a seller account with even wrong data. I saw many times somebody have a company with an address, but in the legal entity, they enter to a complete different address to the seller central. And they get the invoices for a third address. Of course, in this case, how we can demonstrate to Amazon, we bought these products and we're selling legally. Other common mistake is the deposit methods. Some people using their own personal bank accounts as a deposit method. Of course, that is not so good, and I think not only Amazon dislike that, but their accountant must dislike this as well. And this kind of things, and I see
Can I ask, sorry, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Antal. Sorry. Can I ask, because obviously you've got your deposit method, but what about the charge method as well? So the charge method, as I understand it, that can be a personal card. Is that right? Or is it better to have the business?
For the charge method, from Amazon's view, is not so important what is your
Yeah.
charge method. For them, only the important, if you owe to Amazon, they must charge you, and you have enough funds on that card, but you set up the charge method. But from your accountant's view, that should be more important. You use the company's credit card and the payment to Amazon advertisements or Amazon charge going from your company's bank account. Because if you use your personal card for that, your accountant must do extra job to keep that in the books and account that. So the correct way, from every view, is better to use a company credit card for a charge method. And of course, a deposit method must be your company's bank account. And if from that deposit method you pay your suppliers, that is the best from Amazon's view.
Yeah.
Because in this kind of interviews, they asking for the bank statements, and they are checking who paid for the invoices that you present them as the proof of purchase of your units. And this is the better if the deposit method and the bank account you're using to pay for the goods, for the products, is the same.
Excellent. And I think as well, the reason why, it's to demonstrate to, in my experience, Amazon don't like lots of things to have to check. They prefer a circle or a cycle that they can see where the flow of everything, sort of ties up together essentially, as opposed to broken information. Oh, I did this and I bought this on my mum's credit card. And, ultimately, I think the reason why, I think people are more aware of this nowadays, which is obviously good. Certainly when I first started selling, so many people set their business up on the basis of it's a side hustle, that they weren't thinking that it was going to turn into a 7-figure Amazon seller. Maybe they felt that they were just going to earn a little bit of extra on the side. So therefore, there are stories. We see people where they had, personal bank accounts and things like that.
Yeah.
Hopefully the level of education through something like FBA Rockets, over in Hungary, the Hive, these type of channels here, and giving this information now, that it puts people in a position where they don't have to feel, that they're going to get in trouble at a later stage. So we're always grateful for that information to come through. So one of the other things I wanted to ask and pick up on, actually, something you said a minute ago, do we know as yet what triggers a Section 3? Do we know what the trigger is? Or is it just random? Is it, I don't know what it is. So I don't know if anyone does.
No, it's a little bit hard to answer this, because from my view, what I see around our clients, we don't see any pattern on this. We saw that Amazon push account reviews for almost everybody.
Yeah.
And there are two type of Amazon sellers who had interview and who don't have yet the interview and the review. So Amazon pushing this on everybody. And in the United States, there is the new Inform Act. Only because of that, they must check everybody at least once time in a year. Sometimes it's only that you push a button, my data is valid, and no any change on that. But sometimes Amazon invites you to account review, to a virtual identity verification. So I don't see any pattern on this, but Amazon doing in bulk this kind of reviews.
It's very
and
difficult.
Now there is just one more thing, and there is a new method for this kind of reviews. There is a new team in Amazon. They call the Scrum Appeals team, and they're doing this. The Scrum Appeals. This is the team's name, Recently, in the past few weeks, I saw this at many sellers, and even with me, the Scrum Appeals team made the latest account review. They have a little bit different methods that we saw in the previous so-called normal Section 3 reviews. This Scrum team is looking mainly on the product's authenticity. They are looking from when you source the product. They even looking your sourcing methods. How you contact your suppliers. You must provide them who sold to you, have they sent to you, where you prepped, and from the prep center have you sent to Amazon. Even that they do this more quickly than the normal review teams, but they are very, very strict, and I realize they know very well how the business works and how the laws and other models working. They understand you better, but if you have something wrong in your documentation, they can identify more quickly.
Wow.
And one very, very important thing for every Amazon seller, and this is back to that, what are the common mistakes? We must have our documents very well organized.
Yes.
Because but this is normal for a company, just many people don't do that. I see when somebody consult with me and I ask for an invoice, and the people go inside to the mail client and trying to find an invoice in the emails from the past year. That's no good. Everybody must organize the documents very well. You must have a folder system for everything, and you must find everything in minutes. This is very important. And even coming a review, and you attend on your virtual identity and supply chain verification interview, you have to share your screen, and the Amazon rep always ask you to show how you get the documents, how you store, and they saw your folder system. If they see you are a very well organized company, they will have less questions. But if they say, hey, this company don't organize their documents, they don't know where coming the goods, you cannot provide the clear way of the products, then you are in a more bad situation. So it's very, very important to organize very well the documents. I say this to everybody. This is a key point.
Wow. That is, if anyone's watching, can you just give us some comments in the comment section? Because that's one of the best golden nuggets I have ever heard dropped on a free live ever. The difference and the detail that you just went into there, Antal, about what is required. And it absolutely makes sense, because we know this from the account health score that has been put in, which is there to monitor the performance of how a seller operates their business. I think some people think those metrics, those numbers that are put there just for the sake of whatever, but it's to monitor you and your business and see whether or not you're not only complying with Amazon terms of service, but you're also doing everything relating to that's going to help grow your business and show that you're running a legitimate business. So Brianna says, such a great point. Morag says gold. Absolutely fantastic details, Waleed said as well. So really grateful to that, because that's something I suppose I take for granted. My husband Matt is somebody who runs a very good ship and always has done, and I've always stood by. I believe we were very fortunate. We had 18 SKUs, I don't know if you remember, we had 18 SKUs on our original Section 3, and we were probably one of the only people at the time that got through it on the first appeal, because we sent 365 days, or whatever, not days, 365 pieces of paper of documentation, because my husband is an excellent record keeper, and he has a very good Google folder system in place, and I believe that is the reason we got through in the way that we did, as quickly as we did, because of that organization. So to see you say that when Section 3s have gone to a different level now, that legitimacy is so important. So you heard that here, guys. If you are playing at this, then you're not going to be able to continue to do that moving forward. This is the information Amazon want. And have you find, because obviously Section 3 is limited to the US, you know, as it stands at the moment. But I picked up on something you said, you know, it relates a lot to the US Inform Act, which of course is US legislation. Do you think that we'll see those type of Section 3 coming reviews to the UK, or do you think they will remain more to do with the US because of that US Inform Act?
Because of the US Inform Act, they will do this in the US more strictly, but on other marketplaces they are checking the sellers constantly. So even in Germany, even in Germany, I have a friend who's selling. He told me every 3 months he got some review. He was very good account health. He's enrolled to account health as well. But in Germany, for example, they every 3-4 months checking the documents, the VAT invoices, and so on. And I know in the UK there were the problems with the VAT issue.
Yeah.
From that, I don't know so much. I'll tell you the truth, because that is mainly an accounting thing. And if you have a VAT issue, it's better you get connected to an accountant or a tax advisor or a tax supervisor and deal with them. But yeah, Amazon is checking on every marketplace the sellers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the important thing as well, Antal, is that albeit we refer to it in America as a Section 3 because it is quite even though Section 3 has a much wider meaning on Amazon than just what we're talking about specifically there. It's, you know, it's a whole section on Amazon, you know, terms of service and seller conduct and everything like that. But I think what's the key takeaway from me just from that is just because they don't do Section 3 here, it doesn't mean you won't have some part of verification. Because as far as I'm concerned now, especially in the UK, in order to get through something like a product authenticity check, you almost have to do similar to what you do in a Section 3, improving that supply chain now. It's not just an invoice is not enough now.
It's
you
not
know,
enough.
so
Exactly.
So this record keeping, this setting up this process of having everything in place, you are only going to have to scrabble around to find it afterwards. So do it right from the start, because just because we don't get the Section 3s, and we are unlikely to, it doesn't mean we're not having identity checks. It doesn't mean we're not having supply chain checks and things like that. So it's the same process, but just under different names.
Yeah, exactly. You are right. This is the same process, just on different name, but the object of these reviews are the same. They want to check your company, they want to check your legal entity, and they want to check the authenticity of your products. And you have to demonstrate you sourcing and selling authentic products. So they won't assume you are selling authentic products, and if we find something, we will block you. No. From the beginning, you must prove for them you are selling authentic products. For example, in the United States, recently from many Amazon reps I heard, they accept invoices only from authorized distributors.
Yeah.
Many people not working just with authorized distributors, but buying from wholesale companies, well-established, legally working wholesale companies. But for Amazon requirements, that is not enough. No, in the US market, if you want to be 100% sure, you must go with authorized distributors. You have to ask the brands in email, and you must have a confirmation email. That's the best. If you don't have a letter of authorization, you must ask from the brands, hey, is this distributor an authorized distributor of yours? Do they selling authentic products? And if they say yes, they are, then you are good to go. And on the account reviews, the virtual identity verifications, the supply chain verifications, Amazon asking for this. for this
Yeah.
information, for the letter of authorizations or this kind of brand confirmations.
So let's clear that up, actually, because this is something that I've always been a believer in, that Amazon in their wording will always ask for letter of authorization, but we know for a fact that letter of authorization is not always required if you can provide evidence that it is an authorized distributor. Because let's face it, Amazon don't really care where you've got it from as long as it's genuine. That's how I've always understood it. Now, of course, trademark issues and intellectual property, that's a different subject. I'm talking about from a supply chain point of view. So that's a wonderful tip there. Again, I told you this was going to be gold nuggets today, guys. Everyone's saying what fantastic information this is. You know, if you are unsure, but I would also add to it, not necessarily if you're unsure, if you're buying from somewhere, because of that record keeping, you should be asking for that information now anyway. That should be part of your due diligence to get that confirmation, because it's better to have it up front than it is to, you know, have to go and find it afterwards. Because we know some retailers in particular, I don't know, let's say Superdrug or something like that, they will say, sorry, that information is 3 months old. We don't have that information to be able to give you it. So it's better to get it, have the information, store it, you know, ask the question. It's better not to have it than not at all.
Yeah, in our sourcing process, this is the part when we establish an account with a new distributor. This is the part we checking the distributor to know only we let the distributor check us, and this is part of the distributor checking. We looking for the brands what they are carrying, and we are asking even from the distributor if they are authorized for the brands they selling, and we asking the brands too about the distributor.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is very important. You are right. And about the letter of authorization, just a few words. In the Amazon have a policy on the letter of authorizations. In this letter of authorizations policy, they mention Amazon can require and can ask for a letter of authorization for the brands you are selling. So if we thinking strict on that, this saying Amazon anytime can ask for letter of authorization for anything, but in the real life they accept the brand confirmation letters, brand confirmation emails. They accept the authorized distributors invoices. For them, the important thing is to sell the authentic products for the customers.
And that's what I think it comes down to. And I think that's why we see more problems in the US, especially something that's happening in the US at the moment with the bundle policy and things like that. I do believe Amazon is more wary in the US than it is in other parts of the world, because there are so many you know, it's a very litigious company, you know, country, you know, there's lots of court cases, lots of lawyers, lots of, you know, everyone sues everyone in America. So I do believe, you know, and I've seen some posts circulated today about, you know, some people have come out and said that if you do bundles, you can only continue to do bundles now if you do have that letter of authorization, because that is what Amazon is asking for. But until I see anything otherwise, you know, I was personally asked for a letter of authorization. They accepted the supply chain. So unless I see anything coming from Amazon directly or anything, you know, I cannot accept just someone saying that, if that makes sense. We do not have the evidence of that, because we know, as you've quite rightly said, that for Amazon, it's more about the authenticity of the product and demonstrating that more than anything else.
Yes, but we must know that there is a big difference between the United States and Europe. I'm not a lawyer. I want to clear that. But in the European Union, there are free trade laws. So in the European Union, you buy something from a distributor or from a brand, they cannot restrict you by the law where you're selling. Of course, sometimes they're trying, but even in Hungary and in Germany and somewhere I saw many million penalties the authorities talk to the brands or to distributors who wanted to restrict the resellers to where to sell and for how much price to sell. In European Union, the MAP prices are illegal too. In the United States, they have a different law system. In United States,
MAP pricing is acceptable.
Yeah. If you sign with the distributor, you follow their policies, and the MAP price is included. They can enforce that, and even the intellectual property in the United States, as far as I know, brand owner can somehow restrict you through the intellectual property laws to where you sell or where you cannot sell the goods. I don't know deeply from the legal part, but this is the main difference between Europe and the United States. I bet in Europe they cannot do nothing if you sell some nationally branded stuff, even in a bundle or something, but maybe, I think in the United States, they can do something on that. This is the main difference.
Yeah, they most definitely, it's so much harder to get people removed in the States and things like that. There's definitely extra laws. So what we'd always say is obviously do the due diligence in the company, the country that you're selling in, and understand that there's always going to be a risk. When we were talking before, Antal, you mentioned something which I thought the wording was beautifully put and so accurate, which was, you say, just because Amazon don't choose to enforce a rule doesn't mean that they won't. So unfortunately, we see, this is why I get the most common question I get asked is, how can that seller do it and I'm not allowed to? Unfortunately, Amazon don't always enforce their rules, but when they do, you have to accept that those are the Amazon rules. And if you are in violation of those rules, unfortunately, it might end you up in a position where you are restricted, your funds are held, you maybe have a review, an interview. I think what I like to see more is Amazon now, less deactivations. I know that's not the case with this bundle thing, but more verifications through things like interviews and seeing how people operate their business. So what you said is
I understand what you mean. Maybe this seems Amazon sometimes not always fair with everybody, but in my experience, if you have the properly set up company, you have the proper documentations, you have your well organized record system, you're using softwares to track your inventory, you fulfill the laws, you fulfill the policies, then you are good to go. Amazon won't deactivate you or restrict you just because you are no sympathetic for them. And here is one important thing. When you talk with Amazon representatives, even on an interview, even on emails or through performance notifications, you must be always very polite with them. You always, it's very important how you speak with them, because they are work many time in a call center, and if they recognize, how can I say, if they recognize you are a hard client, maybe they write an internal note about you, and that will be a more hard to go through your process. But if they see you communicate very well, you ask from them, your documentations are right, your company is okay, your legal entity matches your company documents, your invoices details match your company records, I can say they let pass everybody and they reactivate everybody. We deal with lots of clients on various authenticity or various policy violations or account reviews. And this is my experience. If your documentation is okay and you are a legit seller, you don't have to afraid from nothing. Amazon will check you deeply, but you will pass the reviews.
Yes. Well, that's great. That's a really good tip as well. So, one would think that, you wouldn't have to say that, but people get annoyed. They feel like, why are you asking me this? You know, this is my business. It's legit. So that's a really good tip, because I think sometimes, especially in the UK, I would say it's a very UK thing. If we feel that we're in the right, we have a tendency to be rude. We have a tendency to be, you know, answer things in a not polite way. But there's no excuse for that. Like I said, this is a process. This is what Amazon's procedures are. So just always be respectful of that. As long as you're, I mean, you don't have to kiss anyone's backside, obviously, but at the same time, you know, you have to be polite. And, you know, I always say kill people with kindness at the end of the day. That's the best way to deal with it. One thing, just before we go and give you your, you know, kind of shameless plugs, I want to be respectful of your time, Antal. I know you're a very busy seller and everything else you do on Amazon as well. And it's been fascinating, and you know, we get as much as we can covered in an hour, guys, and I think you'll agree there's already been some fantastic tips. But one thing I wanted to ask around the letter of authorization, going back to that, when you were talking about wholesalers, now there is always the argument. There's always the argument of, well, if you haven't got a letter of authorization, you can't sell. And we have already answered that, so there's a way around that. But when you're dealing with your wholesalers, do you find, in particular with the wholesalers, is a letter of authorization acceptable from the wholesaler, or do they have to provide their letter of authorization? Does that make sense? From the brand owner?
This is an interesting question. I had one or two cases about this. When Amazon rep from our client asked for a letter of authorization from the brand or from the distributor. And yeah, he got a letter from the distributor. This was more than a letter of authorization. They mentioned they're selling authentic products, they are authorized distributors and so on. But in the meantime, until we waited for that, we asked the brands too, and we get the confirmation email from the brand as well. I think this together can work. So if the wholesaler or the distributor give you a letter of authorization, I say somewhere you are on 50-50. But if you have an email from the brand, yeah, this distributor is an authorized distributor of our products and you can buy from them, they're selling authentic, then you are good to go. But in this case, Amazon accept only the email, you don't, and the invoices from the distributor.
Yeah. Because I think what I heard was, if you can get that authorization from the brand that the person that you have purchased from is an authorized seller, which will be acceptable in just an email, you know, presumably with company details on that email as well, which most companies would answer with that, and the identification would be through the email address anyway. Then if you give your own seller account authorization to sell, that could be constituted enough to prove a letter of authorization, because they've given them, you've bought from a legitimate seller with that has got authorization, and then you give, or your company gives your store permission to sell. So that's the supply chain. So one would think that could get round the letter of authorization.
Yeah, this can work as well. But in my experience, the best if you have a confirmation email from the brand. That is like a Jolly Joker, they accept always. Any other kind of emails from the wholesalers, from the distributors, sometimes works, sometimes not works. And one more advice here: when the seller calling, when we calling the brands, even with them, we must be very, very polite. The communication is very important. You know, everything is between people, between humans. We must speak with them very gently. We must ask them. And I have very good experience with this. For example, there is a very big brand in the United States based in California. I have a client. He bought their products from a distributor, and he were not able to get the confirmation letter. But another client who have a different communication attitude, they get the confirmation email. They call them phone. Okay, please send to us. This will be very important, really. So the communication is very, very important. I don't have words to express how much, but it's very important when you're calling the brands or even the distributors, because sometimes if a brand won't answer to you, that is a good tactic to ask your supplier. Maybe they have a direct contact to the brand, and maybe they pick up that phone and you can ask for some confirmation document. The communication is very, very important. Communicate good, communicate professional with every of your supplier, every business partners.
Absolutely, for sure. I cannot emphasize that enough. Something I experienced myself. You know, you don't get what you want by stamping your feet. You get it by being polite and communication. Just a few comments here, just about emails. And Brianna asked about identity checks. So that's actually in the US, where they would check you at least once a year. For the US Informax. So just to clarify that. And then Ben said about the bundle policy, you know, terms of service say about, you know, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. So always be checking that terms of service for sure. I think we're going to see a lot more information developing about bundles, you know, particularly over the next few weeks. So of course we'll keep you updated, everyone, as much as we find out this information. I think there's certain information that shouldn't be behind paywalls. Yes, obviously we talk specifically about bundles in the Hive, and there is information, but anything that is good for the wider market, then absolutely we will always make sure that information is released. So Antal, thank you so much for joining us. Hasn't that hour just flown by? It's just gone so quickly. It always goes really quickly. But I just want to say thank you. And if anybody does want to get in contact with you, you know, in particular about any type of account health advice or anything, please be respectful of Antal's time, though, as well, I will say. But if anybody needs that extra bit of experience with any account health issues, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Look, the best way is to use the FBA Rocket website. We have a contact form. Just one problem, we have mainly in Hungarian language.
Hungarian, I saw that.
Yeah. We have only one. We have only one page. The consultation page is English. But if you check on me on the Facebook and you send me a message, that's a very good way. I frequently check my message request and the spam folder, and I answer everybody. Even if I can't help or even if that's not my field, I answer always everybody. So yeah, the best way I can say, shoot me a message by the Facebook, by the Messenger, and we can get in touch. And thank you so much for the invitation. And I really hope this information can help some sellers.
Oh, absolutely. It will. I've got no doubts. Amazing session. Please show your appreciation for Antal. A few people have already, just saying what an amazing session it was. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Guys, I will see you in 2 weeks' time. I'm away next week. So we'll be returning in 2 weeks' time. And I think I've yet to double confirm. I think it's confirmed. We're going to have Al Carlton on from SAS. So he's going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about some things related to the software and updates and things like that. So Al is going to be joining me in 2 weeks' time for Beyond the Buybox. So make sure you do not miss that. So great to see everyone. Have a good couple of weeks. Antal, once again, thank you so much. Your expertise and professionalism absolutely shines through. So if anyone does need any help in the future, make sure you connect with Antal. So everyone have a great week, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.